So you've seen persimmons in the grocery stores, you've seen the videos on YouTube, and you finally decided that you want to plant yourself a persimmon tree, but you don't really know what variety to plant. Well, I'm here to tell you, there's no specific variety that's perfect for everybody, but chances are if you go to the big box store, this guy here is the type of persimmon tree you're going to see. It's called a Fuyu persimmon tree. These fruits are fantastic. I've had this guy about 7 years now. It generally gives me about 125, maybe 150 fruit. It's fairly tall. It doesn't spread out too wide, so if you have it in your backyard, it doesn't have to take up a ton of space. And if you decide, you can get on a ladder and keep it lower. This way you don't have to use something to help pick the fruit. One great thing about persimmon tree, and this is probably my favorite tree I have in my yard. The great thing about it is that all of your fruits that you plant, this will probably be the last thing that you harvest for the season, because these guys tend to ripen in the fall. September is usually when you might get a couple fruit that ripen. Then October, November, they just start going from green to a yellowish to a darker orange, and they are delicious. And the longer you let them stay on the tree, the softer and sweeter they get. Personally, I'm not so much into really soft fruit, so I pick mine a little earlier than some other people would, but you have to try them, decide for yourself. Now, as far as varieties, like I said, this is a Fuyu persimmon tree. Now, another very popular variety is called Hachia. Now, the difference between this particular persimmon tree and Hachia, the Hachia persimmon is astringent. So you can't eat it when it's, partially ripe. You're going to have a bitter, tart taste in your mouth. You might feel like your throat is about to dry up. These guys here, I've already eaten some of these, and they weren't all the way ripened. They weren't completely orange. They had just started to turn orange. And I ate a couple of them, and they were still fairly sweet. They just weren't super soft. Now with the Hachia persimmons, you can't eat them when they're at this stage. This Fuyu persimmon here is partially ripe. Not completely, but it's ripe enough so that it's still sweet, not really soft at all, almost like an apple, but you can eat them like this. The Hachia persimmons, no. Like I said, those need to get soft and almost jelly-like. So, if you're thinking about persimmon, those are two things you need to consider. Versions like this, that are non-astringent, and versions like the Hachia. I prefer this. I like to start eating mine as soon as possible, and I'm not really into super soft fruit. Now, I know some people have all different varieties of persimmons, which is fine. I decided I was only going to have one tree, and I picked out the most popular variety in the country. Hachia apparently very popular in California, one of the most cultivated varieties out there. Well, if you go around the country, what you're going to find mostly is the Fuyu persimmons, because these guys are fantastic. You don't have to worry about them being astringent. They grow well, they grow easily. I did little or no work to get this plant to grow. I basically dug a big hole, and if you do decide to grow a Fuyu persimmon, I tell you, it was one of the easiest trees I've ever grown. I basically dug a big hole, tossed in some cow manure, some peat moss, which I probably didn't need, and some garden soil. I watered it here and there, but in general, it's been pretty much carefree. I did have 1 year where I had a late frost and all the blooms died, but that can happen with any tree. I think I had several trees that had the same issue that year. But in general, carefree, easygoing, and they produce abundant fruit. Fruit that I guarantee you're gonna love. Now let's get out there and get a little dirty.